Hey folks, it's Karen Trepti. So happy to see you here today with me. I'm with KT Finances and it's winter here. Got a bit of a cold, so if my voice sounds a little weird, that's why. But I still wanted to show up for you and I still wanted to be here and just share some thoughts and ideas that I've been going through for saving money. Because after all, what we want to do is we want to be able to control our money. So I've got a few notes. If I look down, that's what I'm looking at. It's tax season. Whether you've done your taxes or not, I have submitted my taxes. It wasn't good news for the last, I can't even remember how many years. Similar income, similar structure, I've gotten a refund. Not so this year, I owe. And from what I've heard, there's a lot of other people in the same boat. Now, if you make millions and millions of dollars, you're probably getting a refund. So there's the good news. So when you come to whatever it is, whether it's owing tax money or life just happened, whatever the circumstances, it's really good to have strategies up your sleeve, like those little magic tricks, that you know how to cope with those times and how to get through it. And we've been talking about money saving tips with groceries, which is always one of my favorites. And even today, I had baking just an hour ago, like these oatmeal persimmon bars, because those of you who follow me probably know that we have lots and lots of fruit trees that we plant wherever we move. And so I have loads of persimmon. Happens to be my favorite fruit. But my family's getting a little tired of it, okay? So I had frozen some of it. So I thought, okay, well, let's try putting some in some oatmeal bars. Make it sweet, right? And see if we can use some of it that way. So here's more tips. I'm completely transparent with you guys. If you're really, thanks for hopping on. If you're really tight for money, don't do what I just did and experiment with a brand new recipe, okay? Use tried and true. But since I'm gluten-free, since I like not eating too much sugar, or at least being conscientious about it, I'm not at zero sugar, but since I watch that kind of thing, I experimented. I used Lakanto monk fruits for sweetener. And it's granulated, and it seems to bake really nicely, just like ordinary sugar. But it does have a little bit of a strange taste. So, you know you get my tangents if you come on here live. I love you guys. But if you're really tight for money, don't experiment. For me, baking is fun, especially when it's enjoyed by my family. So I wouldn't say this is the best hit ever, but I'm probably going to keep trying. I'm a pretty persistent person, so I'm probably going to do some persimmon chocolate chip cookies, persimmon banana muffins, that kind of thing. And I'm just going to keep going through those recipes because I've got plenty of frozen persimmons until I find one that really works. Because our trees are huge. They give us a beautiful amount of fruit. So, there's that. Now, I just happened to pull this sheet out for a note. And this fits so perfectly with what I wanted to talk to you today. We'll get to the cash, don't worry. It says, I allow myself to have fun while taking care of my responsibilities. I just randomly picked that, but I was pretty thrilled because on my actual note side, I have not only using cash as a tip, but your mindset, my mindset, our mindset is so important, right? To stay in that frame of gratitude when money is tight, to stay in that frame of, oh my gosh, I've got this abundance of fruit coming from my trees. Let's make it a game. Let's make it fun. I mean, that's just my personality, but I highly recommend it because likely when things are tight, there's some stress going on in your house. If you're used to getting huge refunds, like last year I got like $10,000 this time of year, suddenly I owe money. That's not really fun. So we've got to do something to make it fun. And if you do, this makes this whole process easier. And just think about this control aspect. It's so important. Like, no, I don't have any control other than my vote, which I do use, over the tax situation. And besides, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. I'm like, gosh, if my taxes, if I knew they were going for really good things like feeding hungry kids in schools, then I'm all for it. And talk about mindset, that makes a difference. But that gets into a little different realm. So make your finances a game. You know it's serious, but make it a game as much as you possibly can because you want to be able to control your finances, and you also want to have a really high quality of life while you're doing it because nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So, here's the trick about cash. It's just one of them. You can use it. You can use the envelope system. You can put I'm talking rough numbers, folks, but you figure out what the numbers are for you. $5, $10, $15, $25, whatever you can afford, in an envelope that's maybe just for you, for spa day, for self-care. You put money as you can afford it into an envelope. Of course, you're going to do this envelope first before the spa day. For food, for your groceries. And then when you go to the grocery store, you've got cash to use instead of a credit card. It's really hard to overspend cash if you're strict with yourself. If you make it a game and say, okay, I can go back to the store tomorrow, but for today, this is all the cash I'm going to use. Now, you do want to, as much as possible, give space in between grocery store visits because that will save you money. Because we're all human. We're all going to see stuff on the end cap that we think, ooh, that looks good. I think I want one of those. It's not on my list. Okay, well, it looks good. So you have to determine how disciplined you are. But using cash can be a really great tool. And now, if you're thinking about, remember that my consultations are always 100% free. If you do want to grow your wealth and you want to invest for the long term, which I'm a personal shopper for over 100 of the top finance firms in the United States. And I will sit down with you over Zoom like this, get your goals, and give you, just like I was a clothes shopper, give you a whole bunch of different options that will match what your goals are. Now, if you've done a whole bunch of goals and we've got that targeted, I may only come back with 3. And that's fine. But just remember that that is an option out there for you. So using the cash and the envelopes can make it a game. Now, did any of you guys play Monopoly like I did? Were you Monopoly addicts like I was? I was always buying houses and motels, and I usually won, although sometimes I completely bombed out. But you can do that. You can take a lighthearted stance towards your finances. Fix special things for your family, for your friends. Be abundant with what you actually have. So we talked about cash as a tool, talking about mindset, making things fun, and we're talking about celebrating. So at this point, I just have to say, for those of you who have been following me a short or a long time, I just have to give you a huge shout out, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart. My Pinterest account just hit over 100,000 views per month. Crazy, right? I'm just celebrating, and I thank you so much. So if you haven't checked out my Pinterest feed, it's not just my good ideas, it's other people's good ideas on there too. Check it out. It's really a great resource. KT Finances. That's all you have to remember. It's simple. So, talking about, this is going to be pretty short, but talking about control, talking about keeping things creative. That's one of the reasons that I really love to quilt, because it's taking fabric that I already have, it's cutting it up into little pieces, and it's seeing what beautiful item I can make, like a quilt. So I invite you to look at your own life in that same way and say, okay, these pieces that I do have, how can I put them together in this puzzle? Remember to take care of you along the way. Think for the short term in terms of taking care of you, but always remember the long term. Always remember that you really need to invest long term. Now, I have a dear friend of mine who started with me, of course, no names, completely private. She's had some stuff going on with health challenges. You know, at this point, it's going to probably limit our choices. So I'm begging you, come talk to me while you're still super healthy, while you're still as young as you possibly can be, and let's get you set up for the future, because once you get set up and you get in these long-term programs, then you don't have to qualify for your health. You don't have to worry about it. It's always good to plan for your future. So that's enough for me today, sending you tons of light and love. Hope you had a fabulous Valentine's Day. Happy past Valentine's Day to all of you. My husband shocked me, and I think with a little reminder from my son. I'll let you in on that secret. Brought me home like 24 roses. And the best part of the whole thing was the little note on the bottom. It said, "Will you be my Valentine, sweetheart?" I told him that was my favorite part. Anyway, I'm here for you guys. Remember, my consultations are completely free. You can find me on all kinds of social media channels. If you have questions, whether you're in the spectrum of you've got plenty of money, you don't need to hear any of this about groceries, or you don't think you have plenty of money and you do need to hear about the groceries, whatever it is, I can find a good product for you, and we'll make sure it's a match, and I will advocate for you. So that's it. I'll see you next time. Ciao. Karen Trepti, KT Finances.